Hello, good evening, and welcome to Learning Netrunner with Team Squared and the Ashes Cycle. My name's Mark, aka MCG, and I'll be your host for this evening. Twice today, I've had to shut a window because the rain was coming down so loud I couldn't hear what I was doing. But who are these other people, and what loud noises have interrupted them doing something?
You remember when Sharon was like, "I really hope this week's question is dead easy because I'm feeling a little frazzled and I need something easy to answer." On the surface, that question is very simple, but I have a little in the way of safer stream answers, I suppose. My name's Dave. And when I was a baby, I was notorious for flatulating so hard in my sleep that I would wake myself up.
That's
There you go.
adorable,
There you go.
I think.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Sharon, and Mark and Dave were laughing because today I had some extremely spicy noodles for lunch, and my body has not liked that at all, resulting in some loud noises.
Wow. I mean,
But that's
Straight
I
to
wrote this-
confession
life,
time.
right?
I invented this question before you told me any of this story. This wasn't like me trying to lead you down a certain path. But if you decided to walk down that path headlong, that's...
We
I
we
just
both
thought
chose
you were
it.
incredibly cruel.
No, these are real life things that have happened today.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know what the weather's been like in the south, but in the north, it has been fluctuating from incredibly violent rain to bright sunshine and back again about 3 or 4 times.
Well, let me tell you, it is muggy as all
Same.
hell down here. Yeah, I haven't seen any rain, but then I've been inside with no windows all day. But I would have heard it, and I haven't heard any this far south yet. So either I got lucky, or it's yet to come.
We've had pretty much what you've described down in London, Mark.
This is the most British segment of learning Netrunner I've ever. Next up, making cups of tea. Yep, and talking about the footballs.
I could do with a good cup of tea right now. You know that I really could.
A famous Netrunner anecdote, which I'm not really sure where it came from, where it fits into the folklore, but like someone said the way an American Netrunner person said that they made tea by putting cold water, milk, and a bag in a microwave. And the uproar of the UK Netrunner community was, well, vitriolic. It was incredible.
Well, do you know what's interesting? Maybe that way of making tea gave a better flavour. Did anyone actually try it?
I'm going to go try that, and I will report back immediately. I'm going to
Dave,
try
we
that
just
right now.
started the stream.
I know, but look, you can't make this sort of flagrantly ridiculous claim without immediately testing it, because this sort of thing demands trial. Okay.
Listen, Esty, you have to test it. You have to test it. How will we know unless we test it?
Oh my god.
My assumption in this case is always that in the hundreds of years that we've had life on Earth before this point, people have already tested these things and told us the best ways of doing things, not the...
We've not had microwaves for hundreds of years.
This is going to be a flipping debacle. I can tell you that for now, straight away. Just looking at this, it's already
Jessica's
gone wrong.
admitted that they do warm up their tea in the microwave when they forget about it.
Oh
Now,
my
warming up tea, it's not good, but you know, it's okay.
I do that with coffee.
Yeah, this is not cooking it in the first place.
Cooking it. Brewing the dang thing in the
I
in the
actually
microwave.
really want
is
to
terrible.
try that now as well.
Yep. Well, I'll let you know. Oh, I might have to close the window. That was a strong breeze is coming. There's
Is
a
it a strong
susurrus.
wet breeze?
Hopefully, yeah. Wait, are you talking about your problems earlier again, or?
It was so bad, Dave. It was so bad. And do you know what? I was eating the noodles and my mouth was on fire. My lips were on fire. I could barely speak. And I was on a virtual meeting as well. I was on a Teams call thinking, I really hope no one asks me anything because I can't think straight right now. I could think, but I couldn't speak. And I should have just stopped eating them. I should have stopped.
That was my next question. See, if I eat something that's incredibly spicy, I think, well, maybe I just got a chili or something in that one. I'll try one more bite. If the second one is the same as the first, that's the end of my involvement. I don't plow on through is this the like completionist thing again?
No, I just hate to see food waste. Other waste, I guess I can deal with, but food waste, just no. I mean, I paid 79 pence for that packet of noodles. All right.
Shh.
It's gonna get fully eaten.
Oh no.
Do you want to hear something even worse? When I was draining, so it's one of those little pots, the big tubs, and you put the water in and then you drain it and you put all the spicy sauce in. I actually dropped all the noodles into the sink. And so I was there like frantically picking them out, including all the tiny little strands, because I was like, I'm not going to waste any of this food. It was an omen though. I should have left it. At that point, all the noodles were in the sink. Should have just left them. Or, chucked them away.
I mean, if you had no other food in the house and delivery was unavailable due to the epic downpours we were experiencing and all London was flooded, I still wouldn't have carried on eating this situation. And yet, when none of those things applied, you ploughed on to cause yourself discomfort down the line.
Well, I didn't know it was going to cause myself discomfort, did I? Why would I do that?
Well,
I just thought my body would be okay. I didn't think it would have such an extreme reaction. Yeah. Anyway.
Without delving too much into evolutionary history, when something tastes so unpleasant, you don't want to continue eating. That's usually a warning sign.
Now, the taste was good. It was just extremely spicy.
Yeah, well, that's the same principle for me.
Anyway, there we are. I've learnt my lesson. Well, I haven't learnt my lesson. It's probably going to happen again to me.
Well, as we've learned over many weeks now, learning the lesson does not seem to have a positive effect the week after. So
I struggle with learning lessons. Also listening, doing things. The standard stuff. Right, this cup of tea is nearly ready. Sharon, in solidarity, this week I'm going to order some of the hottest noodles I can in town, and I'm going to get them delivered to me, and I'm going to eat them whilst trying to play Netrunner, so that we are on an even playing field, because I don't feel it's fair that you should be feeling under the weather and I'm feeling chipper as all heck. So yeah.
I mean, they'll probably arrive after we've finished our games, and you will just be suffering through the lessons.
I mean, the speed at which we play these games, possibly not. But we'll see.
Dave mukbang on stream. Does anyone want to see?
We'll have to see how it goes.
I did do a full disclosure to the people on my Teams meeting earlier today while I was eating that I was eating noodles, and that's why my camera was off. And they all agreed that no one wants to see me eating noodles and to keep my camera and sound off. So that was something.
Okay, well, in that case, it may be something that nobody wants to see, and I'll end up having to put something in front of my camera so that you can't see me eat.
Yeah.
But
you never know.
I am absolutely ready to go this week.
Okay.
I've got my decks ready. I followed Mark's rules to the letter, which actually was a minefield with tweaking my old deck, because it's not got any new cards added in faction, which means that any new
Ooh.
cards I wanted to change or add to it were potentially from HB, which we have covered all of now, or things that I hadn't really considered in the past. So we'll have to see how it goes. Yeah, but yeah, I'm
Well,
ready.
I'm
It should be
going
fun.
to stick to my nice cold beer, but I will see if I can conjure up some hot takes to go with your hot noodles. How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect. Like that's not how you build a deck, and other such classics now.
I mean, I don't think we can really call those hot takes anymore. That's been sharing the same old thing
Even
week
know what
after week.
happens to those. So
It's pretty standard. It's pretty standard.
Anyway, in the interest of not just turning this into a complete just chatting stream, uh,
You,
our homework was, or your homework was, to build a new Anarch deck, hopefully incorporating some of the new Anarch cards we went through from the Ashes cycle last week, and
100%.
then any old corporation you fancied to offer them some resistance.
Yep.
So we should see 2 Anarchs and 2
Hmm.
AM others in battle. Let's go to the
Oh,
arena.
you've already gone. Okay. Oh
Well,
no!
you
That means
do you want
that
to swap, Dave?
no,
Dave, do you
this
want
is
to swap?
fine. Okay, my Anarch deck is up first,
Look,
as you
I'll
can
tell you
see.
why. Because my Anarch deck is pretty much the same thing as I feel about eating spicy noodles at the moment.
Sure,
It's not great,
Sh-
despite testing and tweaking. I
sure,
just don't know what I'm doing.
sure. Right. I.
So we have Hashiko versus Miramorph. Sharon's
Ah,
Miramorph last week got off to a great start and won the game pretty comfortably. Let's see if Hashiko is a better matchup though this week.
okay. Uh. So here we go. Right. So I think I've inadvisably chosen this first hand. It was hardly a sneap, as you say, but we'll see how it goes. Okay.
Did you say hardly a sneap?
Yeah. It's not exactly an absolute straight up keeper. Okay.
Get confused
Getting the
with
money
hardly
out
a
quick
sneak.
there, Dave. Should I be
Yeah.
worried?
Um. No, I wouldn't bother being worried actually, because whilst I can generate the cash with this deck, um, I can't do things with it. Okay, which is a big failing I've noticed so far. Uh, yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, cool. You're playing Mirror Morph. So I can expect to see a lot of just doing one of this, one of that, some of this, some of that. So you've gone for a sprint straight away to get some card draw down. Solid, good choice. Um, yeah,
Oh no, Sharon. Are you such a muppet?
yeah.
Oh, I can't bloody do anything.
It's
Oh
good.
no, I can. Sorry, I
Oh, you're right.
clicked the wrong option for the Miramorph benefit, but it doesn't matter because I can still gain a credit.
Sure. Sure, sure, that's fine. I
So
kind of
I,
fluffed my
I
first turn as well, so we'll see how this turns out. Um,
Good tip from Jess in the chat, Dave,
ah,
is not to forget Hashiko's ability.
yeah, absolutely. Just to run in the 90s, as it were. Um,
why give Dave the tip?
I mean, we can give you a tip about Hashiko's ability too. I don't think it'll be as useful right now.
Might be, you
it's
don't
just
know.
not as useful. You know what? That's free. Let's flippin' go. Run
Three
archives absolutely free access.
fencer Fueno.
We've got our first companion spotting. Well, if you count Keiko as a companion too, I guess. We've got both 2 spotted. But...
Yeah. Cool.
And we got the Hashiko
The
flip.
first flip.
There we go. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I should. I've been manually flipping Hashiko. I don't know if Jinteki does it automatically.
It does.
Okay, well that's convenient then. Cool. Okay, so his magical girl Hashiko Shiro, who is going to absolutely confuse the
3,
heck out of me.
4.
Well, at the
Right.
start of your turn, you'll draw a card and lose a credit.
I'm okay with this. The cost is pretty good. Having automagical card draw as well is super handy. Um,
Oh, how do you have automatic card draw?
so Hashiko costs me a credit at the start of my
Yes.
turn and gives me card draw. If you look at her other side, which I think I can flip safely so that you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. If I accessed a card this turn, I get 2 credits and I flip the identity. But
Nice.
at the moment she's in digital form, so she's already been flipped. So I am going to do a draw.
There's also a card which is very useful for this style of deck, but unfortunately is not in our card pool yet. If we get time later, maybe we can sneak it in. That takes note of your current digital status.
Oh,
Sounds pretty cool.
that does sound cool. Okay. So now I have the opportunity to either run archives again in order to try and access a card to maintain that, or she'll flip, and at the start of my turn I'll gain 2 credits instead of the extra card draw. And I kind of think I just want to maintain the card draw for the time being.
For clarity, there, Dave, if you don't make a run this turn, you don't gain 2 credits at the start of your next turn.
Oh,
You
it's at
may,
the end.
if you have to flip it back, and then you have to access a card, and then you get the 2 credits.
Gotcha. So you do
But
just lose out on that that
typically
card draw.
speaking, the normal way of playing Hashiko, if you like, is to get as many flips as possible.
Okay, so you try and keep her spinning. I
Yeah.
So I thought, I kind of suspected it was to keep her flipping like this, but then I looked at it and I thought that potentially she might be more beneficial if I flipped her and then just let her sap as much money as I was prepared to give her, almost, and then flip her back. Um, but yeah,
If you've got a source of credit to offset the one that you lose in exchange for the card draw, then your theory is sound. I think early in the game, if you just keep losing that credit all the time, you'll really feel it.
yeah, yeah, I suppose so. Okay, well let's
So,
go on.
not just because I might have created a less than adequate Hashiko deck. So early in the game, you don't really want to keep flipping her.
No, you want to flip her as much as possible.
Right, okay.
It's in your interests well, conventional wisdom says it's in your interest to flip it every turn if you can. So
Bum.
you'll gain the 2, and the next turn you'll gain the card draw. Then the turn after that you'll gain the 2, and the turn after that you'll get the card draw, etc.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah, I trashed your cerebral. Wow, this is interesting. You've got 12 credits there, and okay, there we go. Lovely.
Good use of Fencer credits.
Yes, I was getting a bit panicky about Fencer going down quickly. There we go.
Damn. It should have really, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And because you access the card, you get the flip.
Yes, the auto flip occurs. Cool. Which is good, because I could do with the card draw next turn.
2.
Oh, are you going wide?
Hang on, just need to.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Cool. I'm glad to have nixed that nano etching matrix. I'm sure there are many others in there, but
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I mean, you shouldn't, just for your reference, Sharon, you shouldn't be scared of, in that situation, clicking for a credit and then just taking another credit.
Well, I realise that now. I mean, after you've just explained it.
As,
Okay.
as multifaceted as mirror morph can be, it's sometimes you just have to do the basic things.
What's this? And it's at home.
Code gate. Oh, bottoms. Okay. Well, in that case, fire subroutines, because I cannot break a code gate. Cool. And then. Well, let's.
I hate running into unknown ice. I hate it so much.
Yep, it's dangerous, but face checking is all I've got at the moment. And certainly in this deck, I have nothing other than face checking, so I will be checking with my face and praying that my amount of money can prevent me from just straight up dying because I've only got 2 flipping cards in hand. Oh. Ah, bottoms. Okay. It's a destroyer, sadly. Sentry, rather. So,
On last click.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's c'est la vie. Cool. Let Unbrokens fire because I have nothing I can do about a sentry.
I mean, when you see this card, it will very much be c'est la vie because it's not going to matter. But
oh, sure. Sharon, I've indicated that I would like you to. Yeah, cool. Excellent. And then I get to access the server. Oh! 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 Bugger!
yeah.
Ah, straight clearinghouse. Dang it. I should have suspected. Well, that was nice and quick. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. Sure, fair enough. Ah, clearinghouse 1. Sure.
I think a good rule of thumb is now every card in well, particularly Sharon's deck, but possibly in both your decks, any advanced card is probably a clearinghouse.
It's a clearinghouse. Yeah, that was grim. Oh, fair enough though. Balls. Cool.
We said we wanted a quicker game. That was,
I know that has done it. I was quite intrigued by your deck though, Dave, and I'm looking forward to the deck comparison part of this this evening.
Like I'm happy with the way it works. I'm not happy with like I feel like it suffers a little from being able to get resources heavily and then not do things with it. So we'll see. Yeah. But I've tried to change that. But yeah, we don't get to see that. we don't get to see whether those changes worked. Bomb a clearinghouse straight away. Cool.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you'd selected your deck. Right.
Yes.
I am ready. Deck selected.
Okay.
Oh, look, I also have Hashiko Shiro.
and this time up against PE.
Yeah. Everybody loves PE.
I know that is not true. I certainly do not love PE.
What?
You don't love to play with it or against
crazy. How could you not enjoy PE? Uh, okay.
Righty tighty. What do you need that money for, Dave?
Because it would be foolish not to use the money that I've been given.
Okay.
Oh. So what we're looking. Oh, no further actions. Ha!
Rubbish,
Oh.
Dave.
Oh, unlucky, Chucky. Right.
Wait, when you say PE, personal evolutions, have there been different versions of this card?
Of
Based
Jinteki.
on Jess's comment.
No. PE has been the same all the way since the original colour set. The fundamental Jinteki ID.
Okay.
But there are some decks that play PE in what you can argue is a fun way. There are lots of decks that play it in a completely unfun way, and that is particularly in the most competitive arenas. When PE have been doing well, it's because someone has created a monstrosity of a deck that wins through attrition.
Okay. Oh, okay, I understand now. Sorry, catching up on the chat as well.
There we go.
Yeah, kind of.
That fires the PE ability across the table at you, and
What does
costs you a Mystic Mamie.
the Nisei MK?
So yeah, the fact that I scored an agenda means that you took a net damage, which killed your Mystic Mamie before we even got to see him.
Ah, that's all right. Tons of those in the back pocket.
So interestingly, I didn't put any Mystic Mamies. I think I might have put one Mystic Mamie in because I didn't have a great deal of events because I had so many resources.
Well, we might get a chance to see your deck later. It sounds like you may have just got a little bit distracted by the ability to install a lot of things.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's fairly accurate, I think. Uh,
not to distract too much from the proceedings, but my beer describes itself as juicy and dank. I'm not entirely sure what dank means.
Dark and like tasting like a cave.
Yeah, like a musty underground cave. The smell that you love, but feel like you shouldn't.
I mean, it tastes entirely pleasant. I'm not sure where the comparisons with caves come from.
Yeah. Okay, so you got. Oh, that's pretty cool. The cookbook buff in the imp is pretty sweet. It's a Lotus Field. It's trashed. Nice.
Right, let's have a punt.
Sure. Wow, that's
Fingers crossed it's not a sentry.
barrier breaker. Well, there's your tag.
Why, Dave?
Sorry. Now you've got a bunch of choices to make.
I have one choice. Well, that's pointless. What is it? Barrier. Where's my barrier? Where's it gone?
We've ended the run.
Got it.
Yeah.
Why did you want to run?
Because Dave's got his posted credit.
With Nisei Mark II, yeah. So that I can score the damn thing.
Is this that Nissan Mark II? That was a system update card, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
So Nissan Mark II is another agenda that's been around since the dawn of Netrunner. Another quintessential Jinteki card, and just an incredibly powerful ability.
I think I never really put it into my hand because my deck because of the 4-2. Oh, I haven't recently.
Well, it depends how you're playing it. It sometimes doesn't feature very heavily in PE decks because it is a 4-2, but
Yeah.
in the startup format, you don't have a lot of 3-1s to choose from, so.
There you go.
It's fair.
Interestingly, I had a few Wildcat strikes as well. I just figured the choice always sort of bends towards the card advantage, just because 6 credits seems a lot, but yeah. Sure.
Another crack. What was it again? A barrier.
It's
Bloody
a barrier,
ping.
which you've got Corroder out for.
Indeed.
So it's already interfaced, which means you just need to pay 1 credit, I think.
I have done so.
Cool. Yep, I think I've got no further actions. Cool. Fair enough.
Really do with some money, Sharon.
Oh, I know.
Especially as you are in Hachiko digital mode. So at the start of your next turn, you're going to lose a credit. So now you have the choice of, do you stay on 0 credits, meaning you have nothing to lose, or do you start eking your way up knowing that you're going to lose one?
I should just have nothing to lose, really. But then I can't get rid of any of these cards because I've got no money. So, quandary. Can't use you, can I? Gain a credit, use you.
Cool. So I start my turn. That one? Oh no, resources, isn't it? Which is that one. I might as well, because why not?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I really dislike the deck I've built because I just don't think it works well. And I think the tweaks that I've made throughout it haven't helped either. That makes sense.
Well, from what we've seen thus far, it looks pretty reasonable. Maybe with slightly too many different things in, but I'll reserve judgment until I see more cards.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's fair. That's kind of my métier, isn't it? Let's just bloody put everything in there and hope for the best.
Sticking everything. I can't wait until the bracelet. Yeah, you're right. I should have. Oh, I've got tea in the microwave. Okay, I'll take my turn.
Oh, Dave.
We agreed nice fast turns, didn't we?
Yes. Talk us through what's going on.
Well,
go on. What's in that mind of yours?
so at the moment, I'm wondering where I'm going to shove this, and I think I'm done with that as a concept. Okay, gain a credit. So I was floating at the under 5 credits mark, which is, as we know, a dangerous place to be. It wouldn't have been too horrible, but yeah. Continue to encounter ice. Sure. I think I've got no further actions.
Oh,
It was a snap.
It's alright, I didn't like my cards anyway.
Sure. Cool. Paid to sod off the tag. Got it.
so the thing you've got to be conscious of though, and it's not a hard and fast rule by any
I
stretch.
don't know who you're talking to, me or Dave.
To you, is
Knew
that
it.
Dave installed a card. You didn't run it on your previous turn, and then he didn't do anything with it. He didn't get any money off it. He didn't advance it, and it's like, why didn't? If that was an agenda, why didn't he advance it? If it was a cash card, why didn't he get any money off it? The fact that it just sat there for a turn, it could have been an Anoetic Void. It could have been, of course, it could, but it was a little bit suspicious.
I think that's my fault. I thought he installed it in the turn just before mine. That's when I noticed it.
No,
Because I thought the turn before that I'd trashed a different card.
Hang on.
But we're playing so quickly, Mark. I can't keep up.
Well, that is one of the risks of playing at a real speed.
1 second.
Or mental load in order to keep up with it.
I'm just going to reload this. Cool.
Oh no, what happened, Dave?
So it I lost connection and then it wouldn't let me click anything. So I'm just rejoining quickly. Hopefully it lets me in. Yep, cool. That's great. Cool. Okay, I'm back. Right. So if I gain a credit, stick out that, and then trash that. There we go. Okay, yep, cool. We're good. I've got a bit more cash now.
And I do not.
Been struggling for money for a bit.
Fudging fudge sticks. What's this on it at home? Money, money, money.
Oh, that was kind of goofy. Okay.
What can I afford to do? Gain credit. Pop you out. What's that? Mandatory start of turn draw. Is that a clearinghouse, Dave? Do I need to deal with it very quickly?
Perhaps. Perhaps it could be anything. Red Swordsman.
What is that, a sentry?
He is a sentry.
Now, if he's got minus strength, does that matter?
You've got nothing to interface with him, so you can't break any of his subroutines. However,
even if he's got 0 strength?
Yeah, I mean...
The only way that the 0 strength would matter is if you had a card already installed on it, something like Chisel, which would take its effect on being on 0 strength.
It says trash one AI program, but I don't have any of those.
Have any AI programs, and then you take a net damage, and then you're through.
No, I didn't want that card anyway. It's trash.
Sure, bugger it. No further actions.
Oh no!
What happened? You trashed it with him!
Instead of stealing it, I clicked the wrong button.
What?
Guess what we're going to do, Dave? First one of the session.
I mean, if you want, you could just run archives and get it anyway. Yeah, sure. Okay.
That was ridiculous. I was just like, do you know what? I was in the zone. I was like, this is going to be a crap card. It's going to do me some damage, or it's going to be something stupid like a San City grid. I'm just going to have to trash it. Ugh.
I was hoping you'd think it was something guff and like a one of the ones that when you access it you take damage. And so
I thought it was a
would not bother.
clearinghouse, actually.
So
I thought it was something like that.
yeah. Okay. Fire
Have another
unbroken.
crack,
No AIs to trash. Continue to pass ice. I can't believe you trashed it.
God.
That was so good.
And do you know what's even worse? It's trashed one of the cards I wanted to keep, which it hadn't trashed the first time round.
What?
But that's my own. I deserve that for not paying attention.
Wait, you trashed one of the cards you wanted to keep?
Your card did. Do 1 net damage.
Oh!
When you take a net damage, unless you manually type in, do the damage to this card, which you can do, but it's a command,
Yeah.
it will randomize it. So that when it was randomized the first time, Ice Carver was the target. But the second time, when you undid click and redid it, it randomized again and came up with a different result.
Yeah, it knocked out the Shore Gamble.
Do you wanna slice up the? Do you wanna swap the Shore Gamble out of your
You know what?
heap?
Don't worry, because it could have happened anyway. So
Okay, sure.
Your gamble was the second trash. So
Yeah.
what you can't forget against PE, but it's very easily done, is you took 1 net damage from the swordsman, and then you took a net damage because you stole an agenda.
all right, okay. Don't worry then.
So
I understand.
the swordsman hit a chisel out of your hand, and then stealing the agenda knocked the Shore Gamble out of your hand.
Oh, hang on. There's somebody at the door.
Oh God, is it the spicy noodles?
It might be. That was the plan.
Yeah, it is the spicy noodles. They have arrived. So I'm just putting my birthday in because I ordered some beer. Thank you. Right, and okay, right, Sharon, I'm going to put myself on level pegging with you, an even keel, right, by making my keel completely uneven. I have ordered the spiciest noodles I know of. Okay, they are grim.
Do they equate to the Samyang 2 times spicy noodle spice level?
That they make Samyang look tame.
Right.
They are the spiciest noodles that you can get in town.
Okay.
Last time I tried them, I started hiccuping because I'd ordered the wrong noodles. They were so hot they made me hiccup repeatedly, uncontrollably, and they were very uncomfortable. And I swore that I would never order them again. However.
Oh, Dave, I appreciate this. I mean, you really didn't have to.
It's about fair competition at this point. Fair competition. Also, my go was
at no point in the future will I be embarking on this.
Sensible, Mark. That is very, very sensible.
Playing ground leveling exercise of killing yourself with hot food.
Right. Oh, I'm really not looking forward to this. Oh no!
Look, Dave, don't make the same mistake I did. Just stop eating. Also, we can't see you anyway.
Can you not?
Well, I can see half your face. Oh, there we go. It's because it's come off on my iPad.
Oh, this already smells dangerous. Right, how's your turn gone? What have I missed?
Oh, I thought it was your turn.
No, it's yours.
Sorry, wasn't really.
No, I did remarkably little on mine.
The whole fast play thing has gone out the window now because we're.
Hey, look, we had one game that took 6 minutes. We've got all the time in the world now.
Oh, there you go. Very quick and efficient.
Cool, that was.
Almost like I'm playing Miramorph again.
Okay. Right.
Oh, look at that. I've got another Mystic Mamie.
There we go.
Oh, pulling out the cards today.
And then it's your go. Yeah, well, I used some special powers to shuffle my agendas back into my into my deck, so now I don't have any.
What do I want to have a look at? What do I want to have a look at, Dave? You've just gained 1, 2, 3 cards. Got 11 credits. Should I chance it? Yes.
Or what are you running?
HQ.
Excellent. Let's res this
What
dude.
is that? It's a Karuna. It's a Sentry.
Yeah.
Swordsman, not a Karuna, but
Swordsman.
still a sentry.
Swordsman. Yeah. Oh gosh. So you're right.
Mm.
That was a Karuna.
Right. It
That's pointless. Oh, I don't have a cookbook anymore, do I?
No.
What is that then?
There are no AI programs out, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, what's happened? Hang on.
Well,
I've done something wrong. I've done something wrong.
Yeah, you're not gonna have to undo your click, otherwise you're just flat out cheating.
Wow! Imagine playing a card during someone else's go. That's rude. That is. But don't forget to drag it back from your play area to your grip. There we go. Let's try that again. Wait. Undo click hasn't de-resed my swordsman.
Because Sharon took a second click in the middle of her first click.
Oh!
Some sort of time-bending anomaly.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so I need to add a click, run HQ. Dave, you've already resed Swordsman.
Yeah,
so you don't pay for that again.
Leave it there, yeah.
Okay, add click, run HQ. Sorry about that. Continue to encounter ice.
Yep.
Fire all subroutines. Sorry, in my head I thought you'd fired them, and I was just like cracking on with the next go. Let Unbreaking
Don't forget, Swordsman doesn't end the run.
It doesn't stop the run. It just does damage. That's it.
Oh, sweet.
Cool. And there you go. And now you get to see a card from my hand. No further actions. Magnet.
With Dockland's Pass.
Oh yeah, of course. Magnet and Anoetic Void. Damn.
None of that trash, Dave.
I suppose you are quite credits light. I get that. Cool. Oh, this is getting warm. It's getting really warm.
I don't watch you eating it.
Oh, look at it.
But don't put yourself through pain. There's no need.
The state of these chilies. They're old and they're hot. And that one tasted a bit like aftershave.
What?
Oh, the secret ingredient.
Oh, the secret ingredient is pain.
I see you in a tiny little portion of the screen, but I can still notice that you're getting redder, visibly redder.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Going to blend in with his background shot.
We've started now. We've started now, and this is my dinner. So we're going to carry on. That's how this works. Oh, speaking of carrying on, it's your go.
Right. What have you done? You got some money. You protected HQ further.
Yep.
And you drew a card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's resolve that.
Correct.
Oh, hello. Don't mind if I do. How much money have I got? I've got 4 credits.
Oh,
Let's have another punt at HQ,
What's
shall
Anna
we?
do? Well, let's res this.
Ho-
Because there's nothing I like doing than removing your entire
Stop.
flipping hand when you try and get a look at my HQ.
Now, if you damaged me 1, 2... Right, no. So
Well-
I've clicked... I can jack... So what do I do? Let unbroken subroutines
Right,
fire, but I
so-
can jack out after you do 2 net damage, right?
Correct. I fire Unbrokens, and you choose to jack out after
Yeah.
losing 2, and then you're done.
And then I do this,
Wow.
and then I have another crack.
This is certainly aggression, I'll give you that.
Continue to encounter ice.
Is Boomerang even in our card pool?
Yeah.
No.
Isn't it?
No, it's not yet. It's in the criminal section, which we haven't covered yet.
Come on. All right, let me undo click then. I'll take that card out of play.
Oh, there's outrageous cheating.
All right, if I uninstall that then...
Spectacular.
when did I install that?
Just before
Right,
you used it.
I'm just going to...
I mean, no, just you're going to trash it anyway. Go for it. I don't mind you using it.
I get quite a significant benefit from it, Dave. So I'm gonna trash it, pretend I didn't install it, give myself back 1 credit and 1 credit on Mamie. How did I pay for Boomerang?
You just paid for the old-fashioned way, I think.
Okay, all right, because I take the rules seriously, Dave.
Sure.
That's my click for Boomerang. Okay. Oh, disgusting.
Okay, cool. Drew a card.
Dave, you seem to have the old capsicum nose though. What's going on?
Yep, I am dying on my ass here, Mark. It's fine. I'm fine. It is A-OK-O. Everything is so hot.
It is. So earlier today, after the noodles, I got a yogurt ice cream out of the fridge because I was just suffering so much. It didn't help. Just didn't.
Dave hasn't got one of those.
I would very much like one though.
Good yogurt ice creams are wonderful.
It's so hot I'm crying.
How do you differentiate between a yogurt ice cream and an ice cream yogurt?
Ice cream yogurt?
Can you just freeze a yogurt? Does that count?
Very similar, right?
I'm not sure.
I feel dizzy.
Oh no, Dave! Please don't die.
This is spectacular.
Please don't die before our holiday.
The Twitch terms and conditions.
Oh, really?
To die on stream.
Sure, I'll attempt to survive this, but I'm gonna keep going.
Come on, Dave.
Oh my god.
Sharon, really?
Yes, really.
What did you think was going to happen?
1 stack! That's a deck draw!
You're playing against PE, where your cards are your health points, and you've just drawn 12 cards, meaning you're going to have to throw 6 of them away.
I know, but like...
No, I think that was just silly.
It was silly. It was silly.
Well, now you've got a lot of choices to make.
How many else? So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. I want that one. I want that one. Do I want that one? Let's get rid of that one. And yeah, done.
Okay. So
You'll have to be incredibly careful now, otherwise you'll position yourself in a state where you can't win.
And to be honest, I feel like that anyway about this deck.
No, that's just a defeatist attitude. This is
I do feel defeatist, Mark.
technically being unable to win is something somewhat different.
God, those are some unique cards that have gone down there. God, a liberated account died with that.
The money to draw from it anyway, Dave. So
Yeah, I suppose it's got a reasonably expensive initial outlay.
and that's the thing. So I think on this deck, it just seemed like I went in heavy on the viruses, and then also had a few companions in as well.
What did I say, Mark? What did I say? Beforehand.
What did you say?
I said I'm going to get virus to buggery.
Known virus protagonist, Sharon, were likely to have many of them.
Yep. Oh. This is something else. They call it drunken noodle.
Oh, drunken noodles.
Yep, and I do
Are
feel
they cold?
No, they're boiling. Like, no, they're not. They're not cold noodles. They're
Drunken
warm.
noodles because
I
you
tried
only
drunken-
order them when you're drunk.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Or potentially
Right,
drunken
you can
noodles.
do this, Dave. It's your go. You can do this.
Oh, yay. Okay.
So that's put you in a very bad situation now, Sharon.
Well, I knew that anyway, Mark.
No.
I knew it would.
No. Well, basically you've thrown the game now because you can't win.
Couldn't win anyway. My deck's a piece of poop.
Your deck was fine. You were doing okay. You were putting Dave under pressure. You made one mistake and then went into meltdown, I think, from all I can tell.
It was good to see though, because I was a little bit on the ropes, I think, because my cash flow has been trash flow this game. Oh. Which is a surprise because I've had 4 hedge funds, I think. Have I had 4? Yeah, I've had 4 hedge funds, which is crazy.
Say no. Take that out.
Kill it with
Just a
kindness,
cheeky
as it
little
were.
botulus. Let's just calm you down as well, Mr. Swordsman.
Sure. Sorry, I forgot to go continue.
It's alright. Do that. Pass ice and continue. Let's have my fingers crossed. Oh. Do I want to trash that? What does that do?
Sky Grid does damage when you make a successful run on a server to you. A limit 1 per server, cost 2, 4 to trash. And the other one was a swordsman, another swordsman, which you've run out of imp tokens, so can't trash for free.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you thinking, Dave? What's going through your mind?
I'm thinking that what I might do is this. Oh, am I allowed to... Can I res that now?
You can only res a card in your server. Well, no, yeah, because Mark said you can res a card that's in your server at any time. What are you pointing at?
Mark,
The ice.
can I res the ice on R&D?
No. Dirty tricks. No, you can't. No one's running R&D. It's rule 4 point something in the rule book.
6.4.3 actually.
6.4.3, Dave. You
Sure.
can't res a piece of ice unless I'm directly encountering it.
Okay. That's
Approaching
not
it.
approaching it.
Approaching it.
Um.
But now I know that you want to res a piece of ice in front of R&D.
I do. That would be lovely.
If it's a tyre, I'm going to be so annoyed. Is it a tyre, Dave?
Oh. Oh.
Is it?
No. Who needs credits? Lol. Ah, sure. Cool. Yep. Okay. I dare you to run server 2, Sharon. Can I just res this now? Oh, I can't res it. Sharon, there is an agenda on server 2. Am I allowed to say that out loud?
You are, but what else have you got around it?
Danger. Knives. Fucking loads of knives. You don't want it. You're currently in a state where you just do not want to run for agendas on that server. Let me tell you that for free.
Well, you've got
It
lots of
is.
knives.
It
Doesn't
is
seem to matter
ludicrous.
what I run. It just says you can use it once a run. And then you've got swordsman, but I've got a sentry breaker now. Have I got a sentry breaker?
Sadly not.
Oh no, I gave up my sentry breaker.
Well, you could install one, but that would put you even lower on cards in hand.
Yep.
Let's just do that. I don't know how I got so many credits all of a sudden.
Okay.
Control gamble.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah. But there we go. I guess I shall just not run anything.
Well, so what you have to do when playing against PE is, as I mentioned before, you've got to treat your cards as health points. So,
I know, Mark, but I just wanted to try and get out some breakers. But now I didn't manage to do that properly anyway, so... Oh, look, I do. I do. There's no point, like, I understand.
Oh, the odor.
Yeah, I had it for a while.
Odor.
Let's get a bit of money.
Odor.
But when you make a run now, you'll die.
I know. Like, I know.
Like, literally, Dave can just shoot
You
2
ready?
rows of knives at you.
Yeah, but I'm not dead yet. Oh, I am dead.
You
Oh,
are
I thought
dead.
you could... Oh, because
I
you
had
got two house
two.
of knives. Good
I
game,
can
Dave.
absolutely pew you. Yeah, well done.
Right.
So the changes I made were pings I placed in there because I had these orbital superiorities that weren't really living up to their name. So I figured if I put in a few different ways to score to do 4 meat damage instead of just giving out tags with the orbitals, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
And then because I'm a douchebag, I put in some clearing houses as well. Oh.
I didn't encounter them.
No, I never drew them. Server 1 had a snare in it. You're quite right to dodge it. Ah, cool.
Well, you didn't advance it, and after what Mark said the first time I ran into the snare,
Yeah.
it was so I've actually played and tweaked this deck a lot, and you both know that I have very low opinions of what I've created. The flaws I found, I can't recover cards that have been trashed, and they seem to get trashed a lot, regardless of who I've been playing. and what decks that they had, my cards just kept getting trashed. I couldn't get my programs out enough, and I think then because I'd gone so heavy on the viruses, I only had 6 programs, 3 of each breaker type, and that meant they just weren't coming out fast enough. And if they got trashed, like someone trashed both my code gate breakers at one point, and I was like, well, I'm stuffed now. There's no way I can get through these 2 servers. Because then for some reason my viruses weren't coming out, and then I can never really get to grips with the companions. So I'm not sure if having the approach of trying to use lots of viruses and companions was a bad one.
It's a lot of MU.
Well, but then Kiko gives you 2 additional MU, and then I had a DMZM whatever optimizer.
Yep.
So I'm looking at your list now just by clicking on the archives. Don't know whether that's the best for everybody, or you can make it available for Dave somehow to bring up on screen.
I'm just putting it onto deck whatchamacallit.
Is it on Netrunner DB?
Yeah. Do you want me to just send you
Yeah, if you fling me a link, I will grab that and put that up.
How do I send you a link?
So I think you can. Oh gosh. Is it view?
If you've got sharing links enabled, you can click view your deck, which will generate a URL at the top of the page, and then you can pass that URL to Dave. If you don't have sharing links enabled, that will it will tell Dave off for trying to access a link he doesn't have access to.
Yeah, mine have all got share your decks on. Oh.
One day we'll come to the Netrunner story of Scrapegate, and I'll tell you why the decks have been secured the way they have.
Okay, I've published it, Dave.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I want to see your Hashiko deck. What did you go for?
Whereabouts have you published it?
Netrunner DB.
Am I
Probably
gonna have
published it, Dave.
Yeah.
The URL.
Last 10 deck lists. Hashiko's waiting.
Yes.
With Reina Roja as the.
No. God damn it, Sharon.
But for all intents and purposes, other than Reina being at the top of that, is that basically the deck list?
Yeah. Hang on. Let me update that.
Okay.
Edit.
I might just go wash out my mouth because I'm seriously still struggling.
You do that, Dave.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Save. Oh gosh, why don't I understand how to do this? Okay, so I originally started my runner deck with Reina as the ID, but it just wasn't working. Just literally wasn't working. And I think again, I was so excited by the companions, I hadn't actually made it a proper Reina deck. I'd made it a companion deck.
Gotcha.
And I was still having the problem where I couldn't get my cards out when they were being trashed. And
Sure.
so I just kept. So then I was like, well, maybe with Hashiko, at least I'll get a bit of money or a draw.
So are we just going to look at the list as presented now?
Yeah. Pretend it's a Hashiko.
So we'll present it to Chico. Right. So you obviously know the first thing I'm going to say.
Are you going to say I've got 2 cards more than I should?
Yes.
Because I feel like you should only say that as a congratulations, Sharon. You don't have 9 extra cards in your runner deck. And do you know what I'd like to say to you, Mark? I wish today I did have 9 extra cards in my runner deck because that would have helped me so much.
It wouldn't, because you'd have overdrawn them all and thrown them away in some sort of mad fury.
Because I would have found the cards I needed.
Oh.
I will take on board your guidance and wisdom, Mark, eventually, one day.
the the obvious take on this, other than the wrong number of cards, is that there's just too much stuff.
There's one of
You,
everything.
yeah, it's spread too thin because it's trying to do maybe a bit of this, maybe a bit of that, maybe a bit of the other, without
Yeah.
focusing in on how do you think this deck is going to win? Because that is what you need to be asking yourself. What is the game plan I'm looking to do here?
I didn't have one, and that's the problem, really.
So when we're talking about how to build decks, it is difficult until you become more familiar with it. You know, we've spoken in previous weeks about you've got to make sure you've got enough money, you've got to make sure you've got enough card draw, you've got to make sure you've got a way of dealing with ice. But whilst you're balancing all those things, you've got to have a plan, which is either which could be I'm going to really pressure HQ, or I'm going to try and focus on R&D, or I'm going to make sure that it's very difficult for them to score in the remote. Those won't be the only things you do in a game, of course, but you are building towards something that will, you can get your cards on the table, you can get in control of the situation, and then you can try and drive towards the win. When you're building a deck from just the things of these are nice cards to play, one of the big risks is you get to the end of it and say, well, those are all good cards, but what am I going to do with them?
Yeah, and again, this was the victim of me playing, thinking, oh, that didn't quite work. Let me look at what cards I can add and remove from the deck. And so it's sort of like probably halfway through an iteration or a series of iterations and hasn't got to the end. But then I just got to the point where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore with this deck. I should have trashed it and just started afresh.
Sort of
That would
diversified
be the
too
next
hard.
advice, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's
'Cause
not working or you've lost track of where you're going,
yeah.
just nuke it and start over again.
Yeah. What I wanted was the card where you can search through your deck to find a program and install it or put it in your hand.
Yeah, we
I
don't have
couldn't
that yet.
remember what the name.
We don't have it yet.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't. That's a criminal card, I think.
Don't
We
we?
have we have multiple options on that front. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
look, if you're searching for programs, you've got Mutual Favor, which was back in
The one.
Gateway,
Sure.
Yeah, that's the one I was
Okay.
looking for.
or in more recently we've looked at Test Run from the Shapers, who can install a card temporarily, then put it back on top of your deck.
Didn't have the money for that.
Yeah, the influence.
No, it was I've already forgotten the name of it. What was the first one you came up with? Mutual Favor. That's what I wanted, because that would have stopped me going so crazy on the draws to try and get the programs I needed.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't honestly. I think I possibly didn't have enough canyons to make it worthwhile as well.
If we there's two things to that. We'll just flip back to the list, Dave.
Sure. Here we go.
As you've already identified yourself, you got stuck halfway between building a Rainer list and then tried to turn it into a Shiko list. Well, you've still got En Passant and Xanadu in there, which, whilst they're okay cards in their own right, are kind of fundamentally Rainer cards. So, with them still being in the list with Hashiko, they are distracting you from that central game plan again.
Yeah.
With the companions, excuse me a second.
The super best friends.
You've got one paladin and two Mamies. Mamie is fair enough. You've got quite a lot of events to make use of it.
Yeah.
If you put in one paladin in though, which is very useful in this deck because of how much installing you need to do, you might not find that paladin. So if you're going to put something in there, you need that you want to benefit from, you need 2 or 3 copies of it.
Right. Okay. So if in theory, if definitely get rid of En Passant. What was the other card you said that was typically a Rainer one? Well, I'd have to get
Xanadu.
rid of Boomerang anyway. So get rid of En Passant, Boomerang, Xanadu's. Add in 2 more Paladin. In fact, let me just do this now so I can play it later.
Sounds sensible.
So I won't feel so grumpy. Because honestly, I really, really did try hard, and just didn't get anywhere. Right, so no more for you En Passant, no more for you Boomerang, cheeky bugger. And
You only had
adding...
one in as well. That's hilarious.
You know, I know what happened. It's because I had the collections showing all of Ashes, and I was scrolling down the cards to see which had 2 influence that might be useful.
You're trying to fit
And
it to your influence spend.
Yeah, and the reason I know about Boomerang then is because so many people have got it in their decks when I'm playing against them as a core.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, so that was my error. I should have checked that.
So then, you've taken it closer perhaps then to a Hashiko list, but now you've still got a lot of different game plans going on here. So obviously there's synergy between Cookbook and Imp and Fermenter, and you want to take a bit of a virus slant there. But then you've got and Botulus, of course. But then you've got Chisel in there as well. So that's another program that you'd have to have the memory for and the way to get down and the way to use. Yeah, and you've then got Devil Charms to go with your Chisels. So there now, in what we might call like the auxiliary program slot, you've got 2, 4, like 12 or so cards, all kind of filling a pretty edge slot in your list, which is then, again, taking you away from, is it a win condition, or is it cash, or is it draw?
Yeah.
I think maybe, if I was going on a Devil Charm and Chisel style deck, I would probably get rid of Botuluses and Imps and Fermenters and Cookbook, and I would have a solid colour deck with the option to do Devil Charms and Chisels. Alternatively, if I wanted to lean into those viruses, I would get rid of Devil Charm and Chisel and really focus on those viruses.
One more of each.
Certainly one more of Botulus and Fermenter, yeah. 2 Imps probably okay. Unless you're really going for an aggressive imping strategy. But that's not really in your card pool at the minute.
No. Now, what's the card where you can, as a runner, access your heap?
Retrieval Run.
Retrieval Run.
I think is the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Retrieval One is the event that allows you to install a program for your heap. So it's, as you mentioned, I think a bit earlier, it's good for getting something back if it gets knocked out of your hand, or alternatively, it's good for bringing something back if it gets trashed, something like a Chisel or a Fermenter or even a Botulus.
Yeah.
Or it's good for cheating things out. So we saw with Dave's list a couple of weeks ago, trying to get Femme Fatales out for 3 credits rather than 9.
The all you need is Femme Fatale deck,
Yeah.
which it turns out needed a lot more. Yeah.
So once you've sort of thinned it out with one game plan or the other, you should then have like several slots left where you would go up to 3 Earthrise Hotels, up to 3 Liberateds, maybe up to 3 Dirty Laundries, because those are just good solid cards that are going to help you either with the economy or with the draw, and particularly within Anarch, you need a lot of draw, which leads me on nicely to the other point that you raised about bringing mutual favour in. Well, mutual favour is not a bad include in this deck.
Takes a lot of influence, though.
It does, and you've got to be conscious of that. So, typically, when we've used this term before, when we go searching for a card in our deck, we call it tutoring, and typically tutoring is not an Anarch thing. Their thing is to draw cards as fast as they can, sometimes overdrawing, but not quite to the extent we saw this evening. And then, if they have to throw cards away, then so what? I'm an Anarch. That's thematic.
Yeah.
But you would have multiple copies of each card that you want, with the expectation that you'll find them quickly because you're drawing everything that fast, rather than putting in something like test run or mutual favour, which is more surgical, but because it's not your colour pie, takes up a lot of influence. But for example, if you've cut your boomerang now, maybe you could cut your DZMZ, or you could cut your tread lightly, and then you could fit in a mutual favour. And one mutual favour is possibly enough if you increase your draw through Earthrise Hotel as well.
Yeah. And you said 3 Earthrise hotels were more sensible.
Well, to emphasise draw, yeah, I think you've got to have 3 Earthrise in this game. Looking at this list now, I would say you've got quite a bit of money, but not as much draw there.
Mm.
So then you've got a question of, well, should Creative Commission perhaps be a diesel? The diesel being the shape of card that lets you draw 3 cards.
Well, what I've done while we've been talking is I took out all the Creative Commissions and had put in 3 Dirty Laundries.
Okay.
And I've got the Mutual Favour and then also the Retrieval Run. So I have the option of bringing back Dirty Laundry or Liberated Account if I need it, or Sure Gamble if I needed it, or a trash program.
Retrieval Run only works on programs. You can't bring back anything you feel like.
Yeah, you can't just grab events.
That's rubbish.
For instance. Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Oh, damn
There's
it.
a shape of card that lets you bring back anything you feel like, called Harmony Medtech. I'm not sure that's in our card pool yet.
No, it's not.
Not Harmony Medtech, Harmony Therapy.
All right, so let's bring those Creative Commissions back. Okay. Lots of money.
So when we talk about putting
I've got 50 cards.
The cards, the economy and the draw in your deck, another thing to remember is, are you getting the right number of each? Because it's easy to lump them both under one heading. Oh yeah, those are all my econ and draw cards, and then you look at it and you've actually put 90% econ, 10% draw, and you've got plenty of money, but you can't draw anything.
Yeah.
So, that's the other thing to look at here. Yes, part of Hashiko's ability helps you draw the cards, but I think you could probably do with a few more draw cards in there as well.
Now got 52 cards and -8 influence.
That's not legal. You're going to have to work through that in your own time. Why don't we have a look at your deck as well, Dave?
Oh, we don't have to look at Friendship is Tragic, my Hashiko deck. Right, is the view going to work? Yeah, it works. Here we go. Okay. So I'll give you a guide, a quick guide through it. Right. At first, I thought, right, let's play with flipping Hashiko a bunch, as well as these new companions. I might not have enough hardware, but I had a look at it, and Hashiko herself, she starts with the normal amount of MUs, right? She's got a standard set of MUs. Keiko gives you 2, so I figured the worst that could happen is I end up getting a Stargate out whilst I've got one of everything else, and then I'm crying because I don't have the MU for it. But I also figured that once the imp was done, it was done and dusted, and then I'd be able to pop a Stargate in if it came out in that order. Maybe I would let one of my super best friends die for the cause. I wasn't sure. Yeah, trash themselves to get me MU back, which actually, that part of the companions I super appreciate. I love that they get rid of themselves. That you don't, if you don't want to, just don't use them, and they'll kill themselves, so that you've got the MU back. They trash themselves. It's super handy.
How many MU anyway? The source is not
Oh,
programmed.
yeah, oh yeah, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, sure, of course they are. Damn it. Well, in that case, yeah, I'd run out of stuff if I had. I think it's if I had one of everything installed.
Yeah, you've got some interesting combinations here.
Yeah, and I maybe need more hardware for it. So, okay, at first, I was all about that. Get a bunch of money, use a bunch of these super best friends, right? Trash cards as I got to them, and then my plan was trash whatever I found, and then go root through the garbage. So if I got to a stuff where I could just trash it because I couldn't take it, or and then I realised that if I did reach it, I'd be getting it anyway because it's an agenda and I don't need to go rooting through the garbage. And then I started to wonder what the hell I was doing with my deck. And so I put in some conduits in order to try and fix the fact that it just sits there and it stares at its own navel. It's not a great deck. It just sort of generates a bunch of cash, makes a bunch of stuff really cheap, and then did nothing with it, which is why I threw in conduits. And I probably should have swapped creative commissions out for more conduit influence.
Well, it's funny you saying you're not doing anything with it. You've got Stargate in there.
Yeah.
Which, for most people, is the best multi-access win condition game difference making card in the game at the minute.
Okay, that was one of the ones where I was like, oh, instead of accessing cards, I'll go root through archives for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool.
So typically, you would have just Stargate as your primary win condition. Therefore, you wouldn't need conduits. Yes, you can combine them. You can, because a Stargate run would be a successful run on R&D. You'd place a thing on conduit, and then you could go back. But I think that's being
takes extra MU for that, and it seems a bit like, oh, I'm planning for the future a lot.
It's a lot of credits. It's a lot of best case scenario.
It's magical Christmas land a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this going for the 3 of each of the programs. Obviously, that helps you find icebreakers. Sorry, that helps you find them all a lot faster. Your only ice strength reduction is through chisel with a lot of work and ice carver. So my concern would be with the cleaver and Odore. And in fact, Ute, for that matter, you're going to be spending a heck of a lot of credits on breaking things.
Yeah, right. But that was part and parcel of it, right? I was like, when I looked at these icebreakers, I thought, shit, I've got to make a lot of money, and so I chucked in. That was what drove 3 creative commissions and the influence spend there, and then I figured I would be making so much cash from the super best friends. just saving me dosh here and there and making their own money. And I put scrubbers in there as well to save me more money, so that all of my I kind of ended up thinking there'll be a ton of credits to spend on cards for things, and I've got a suite of things I can spend on, and then all of my personal money that I'm making with Shore Gambles, Creative Commission, and potentially Wildcat Strikes, at that I would be able to then spend on the icebreakers. Well, that was the theory. In the
Well,
end, it kind of worked out like that. But
the other big thing with your resources is you've got both Fencer Fueno and Scrubber
yeah,
that are both doing a very similar thing.
yeah, yeah, they do.
So I
And
would probably opt for one or the other rather than both.
yeah, I think the scrubber is probably not helping as much as fencer. It's just scrubber's a little safer, I suppose. But yeah, fencer is cheaper.
I think,
Ah,
I think some
yeah.
of the basic structure there is okay.
Mm.
I would lose the conduit, and to be honest, I'd be tempted to lose chisels and imps as well. I
Oh,
would
really?
go. I would look maybe for some leeches to help out with my cleavers and my adores.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then with the influence and the slots you've probably freed up from there, look for some higher impact stuff to help on your with some runs.
Yeah. That's
So
It's not a bad shout. I quite liked the chisel and the working with ice carver. I quite
yeah,
I quite liked. Like
Chisel
I was
Ice
like,
Carver is a nice combination,
yeah,
and um, we saw in Sharon's list some Devil Charms as well, which obviously are a big help for that. What you're a little bit hamstrung with at the moment is to get the most out of a card like Chisel, you need to pair it with a card that's not in our pool yet called Simulchip. So once
ah,
we add Simulchips into our lists, then things like Chisels and Tranquilizers and Botuluses and all those other cards that you have to install on a particular program become a lot more useful.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I would, but in this list now, it's not looking too bad. I would consider, the Dockland's Crackdown is a card I end up putting in every deck because I find it just so useful for when I make the HQ run to be able to access that extra card.
sure,
Um, Yeah, and I certainly you've put those diesels you've put in. I certainly think you need those because at the moment your draw is reliant on Hoshiko's ability and
yes, yeah.
uh,
What,
Hoshiko's ability.
Wildcat as well. I figured there was
What?
no way Sharon would ever let me get 6 credits out of Wildcat Strike, which means it's a guaranteed 4 cards, right?
Well, there is that. There
Well,
is
you
that.
say that, but when I've been playing people, they've absolutely not done the draw 4 cards.
Yeah, card advantage
Even when
is strong.
even when it's clear I've got 4 cards in my grip and I'm 0 credits, they've still gone for giving me credits.
So the rule of thumb with Wildcat Strike is that 99% of the time you should give them the credits because in startup card draw is so limited that if they're giving you the choice of give them credits or give them card draw, you should give them credits. Now, I don't think that's 100% true. I think if you've got cards in your deck like Diesel, like Earthrise Hotel, like Verbal Plasticity, I think you've got enough you can make the draw work with those.
Yeah.
And therefore, sometimes giving the cards off Wildcat doesn't make that much difference. But
Uh, what was I thinking
welcome
here?
back, Jess. We're just looking at, we're giving some feedback on the decks that were made. Neither one was as successful as the HB decks of last week.
We've had so much feedback, Jess. So much. Dave's mouth is on fire as well.
I'm getting over it. I'm getting over it. I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm only feeling slightly dizzy. What? There was a program. It
You're a
removes.
program.
Your, your mum says hi. Okay. Hang on. What was the one I was looking for? Leech.
Leech, what it should
There it
be.
is. Leech. Yeah, 2 doesn't feel like enough. Those chisels I could probably kill to grab an extra leech. The ice carver's still useful though, right?
Ice
Maybe.
Carver is
Oh,
universally useful,
there
yeah.
we go. Extra Stargate because it's strong. Now I don't have the conduit in. Going for Stargates and making sure I get one
What
is
I'd be tempted to do in this list as well now is find space for 1 or 2 extra MU, just so that you can get more than 1 leech installed at once.
yeah, yeah.
You've got a memory diamond, of course, which is influence free, or you've got spur influence you can consider a Dzumza.
Okay, so
Dizenza.
oh dang it! Now I've got slightly more. Okay, the diesel's free anyway. Yeah, okay. So I still think Mystic Mamie is kind of poo. For these events, right?
I don't
What
think you've got enough events there
1
to
credit,
warrant this.
0. That Mystic Mamie seems extra. So if I ditch Mamie, sorry, what card were we thinking about putting in?
P400 memory diamond.
Ah, yeah, of course.
I'd probably have 2 of those and put my Stargates back down to 2 because you don't want to install Stargate early unless the opponent's having a nightmare and unable to find any ice whatsoever.
Sure.
Usually, you want to get all your breakers and board states set up early and put Stargate down as a bit of a finisher.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. There are any others here that I can afford for? So I've got one more influence. No,
Well,
you know what?
Justice
I just
pitching for a career fair to help you install some of those expensive resources, which
that's
is a fair
true.
shout. I don't
Yeah.
know what you take out for that last slot.
I originally had career fairs in here, and then I think I took them out because I started to get a bunch of 1s and 2 resources. But then after I'd taken them out and started to mess with it, I started to put in bigger resources that would cost a bit more and actually make use of it. So,
Well, you've got that thing of
yeah.
there is a sort of competition between career fairs and paladin playmoos in that they're both giving you credits to install resources, but that feeling of career fairing out a liberated account using 3 credits off paladin to get to install liberated for free is one of the best feelings in Netrunner.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I should. Do I ditch the Wildcat strikes? That's 2 for 6, isn't it? Whereas that's
It's something, isn't it?
yeah.
Now,
it's a third.
what's the new faction we're going to be looking at today?
Well, that's up for you folks to decide.
Ooh.
We're on corporations, so well, you know what they are though. It's Weyland or it's NBN or it's Vinteki.
So, Dave, I think I got to choose the last corporation. Would you like to have a?
You didn't actually. I chose HB.
No, I chose HB, didn't I?
I thought I chose
It
HB.
was a joint decision because you were both so interested about the bullshit agendas that are worth no point.
And you know what? They're still brilliant.
They are. They
'Cause
are. Okay, in
they're
that case,
broken.
I will make the choice.
Okay.
And my choice is based on coming across an old Etsy search I did a while ago, or things that are in my sort of arena of interest, and I fell down that rabbit hole again last night, looking at pages and pages of Etsy products, all based around the theme of the Alien movies. So I would like to pick Weyland, please.
Sure.
Ah, the old Weyland and Corporation.
Yeah, might have bought myself a t-shirt.
Oh, it's interesting. I may also have a alien-related T-shirt coming to my house shortly.
I've been making life spinners for games, and that's the my friend Joe is running an Alien RPG, and I've been making Weyland Yutani goods for him. I don't think
It seems like we're ODing on Weyland.
I don't think it'll show up on camera particularly well. But I've also been engraving dice with the Weyland logo there.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Nice placement as well.
Yes,
that does.
satisfying. It is satisfying. Cool. Well, let's see what Weyland have added to our card pool then, because this should be pretty cool.
I'm on mute, that's why you can't hear me.
Yeah, that would be.
I was saying I was just pouring myself a plain dark beer.
Oh, really? You got a plain dark beer to enjoy?
Yes, that'll go well with the black hearts of the Weyland cards.
Love it.
Okay, well, let's dive straight into these agendas then.
Here we go.
So first off, we have Divested Trust. This is a 3-1. We don't see many of them, and they have to be strong if they're there. And this is quite a strong, interesting one. It says, whenever the runner steals another agenda, you may forfeit Divested Trust to gain 5 credits and to get the stolen agenda back in HQ.
Could be a game changer.
So, obviously you have to score Divested Trust first. This is not just like a keep it around and then you can pull shenanigans with it type card. You score your Divested Trust, but then when someone comes and tries to steal a different agenda, perhaps a more valuable agenda, like your sender messages or the other one that we're going to look at in a minute, you can forfeit Divested Trust to say, oh no, you haven't stolen that agenda. That's going back in my hand, and I'm having 5 credits as well for thank you.
What's the ruling on the timing on this card? Because the way I read it here, the runner has successfully stolen an agenda. So anything that kicks off based on that, like any of the agendas that mess you up if you steal them, or stuff like in Jinteki, they've got the Hoshiko grid. That still does a damage, right? Because the agenda has been stolen, and then it has been unstolen again, taken back, right?
Hoshiko grid will fire off the successful run, so...
Oh, a successful run, not a steal. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. The effects of stealing that agenda still happen.
Punitive counter-strike as well,
and
yeah.
Then you do the shenanigans to unmake it happen. But everything that happened still happens. And as Jess has said in the chat, the primary use of this is a card that's already in our card pool. It was from the update pack, and that's Punitive Counter-Strike. So
that's the one that does damage to the runner based on the scored points that they stole in the last turn. Is that right?
Correct. So they are stealing the 3-point agenda. They're leaving themselves up to at least 3 points of damage, perhaps more, through multiple punitive counter-strikes. And they're getting no points for it. And the Corp is getting 5 credits to help them with the punitive in.
Sure.
Beautiful.
So, that can be a game plan within itself. You're going to try and score the Divested Trust, Then you're going to try and score the 5-3 agenda. And if they steal the 5-3 agenda, you're going to sacrifice a divested trust and punitive them.
It feels like Weyland may have been employing old shapers with this. Because this smells like bullshit.
Oh,
This,
strong words, Dave. We all
Yeah.
know that that's going to be part of your game plan.
of course, yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. This is going in, but still, that's crackers. Cool, I love it.
I like it.
Speaking of crackers, the next card is SDS Drone Deployment. This is a 5-3 agenda.
Oh my gosh.
And it says, as an additional cost to be stolen, the runner must trash an installed program. Or, when you score this agenda, you may trash an installed program.
Oh my gosh.
One of
Okay.
their installed programs.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Because you
So-
don't install programs, do you? As the
Oh.
You've just installed your fractor or your decoder to get past a piece of ice that will allow you to steal this agenda. You access it, and then you must decide, do I want to give up that program that I've just installed, or do I decline to steal and then let the corp score 3 points?
and
However-
destroy whatever they choose.
And then they can destroy whatever they choose, yeah. So that's not really a choice in that case. But if you are playing with a limited number of each breaker, which obviously you are to some extent, but some decks might even only include one copy of each breaker, you've then got this thing of, well, if I give this up, I'm not going to really have a way of getting it back. And then I don't know what I'm going to do about breaking ice for the rest of the game. So it's a real... you need to have spur programs in your deck if you're expecting to encounter this. Now, where you've got multiple copies and you find it early on, that's not an issue. Where you've got programs that aren't essential, like leeches or tranquilizers or whatever, you can afford to sacrifice them. But in certain decks, it can wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And the other extremely rude thing you can do at the start of a game is to just install double advance it with naked, and then when they run to check what it is, they can't steal it because they haven't got any programs installed.
That is rude. Ah,
Perfect. Love it.
cool.
Right,
And then,
is the
I
last
mean,
one as good as this?
you could steal it back again anyway after trashing after them trashing a card to steal it.
Oh
You
yeah,
could be
they've
like,
trashed
"Oh,
their best program to steal it, and then you give up divested trust and put it back in your hand, and now they can't run back to HQ to steal it again because they've just trashed the program they need to get into HQ.
Oh god. Yeah, sure, that seems mean. Love it.
Love it.
The next one is a little bit more niche. In fact, you might not. It's very rarely seen, and it's only seen in the ID that we're going to come on to later, basically. But we'll cover it now. It's a 4-2. It's called Transport Monopoly, and it says when you score this agenda, place 2 counters on it. So far, so similar to Nisei Mark II. But when you use these hosted agenda counters, it does not end the run. These agenda counters mean that the run currently being undertaken cannot be declared successful. So, in a roundabout way, this is Chrysium Grid in a token.
Like it?
Sure. Can you
So-
only steal during a successful run?
And no, you can still access on an unsuccessful run, that's not a problem.
Gotcha.
But, for
course.
example, the Maker's Eye says, make a run on R&D. If you are successful, access 2 extra cards. Well,
Yep.
you are not successful, so you don't access the 2 extra cards. Dirty Laundry says, run a server. If the run was successful, gain 3 credits. Well, if it wasn't successful and they've just invested a lot of credits into making that run, then you can leave them very short on credits.
Sure. Or
And as I say, when we come on to the ID that's in this set, there will be other uses for it as well.
and Jess mentioned it. It protects against apocalypse as well, because I suppose you can say, yeah, nah, not this server. You haven't accessed everything successfully, so GG. Yeah.
Absolutely right. It's even less played, I should think, in the standard card pool than it is in startup, where you'll come against Apocalypse. But the use of it exactly right. Anything you can do, basically anything you can do with a Crisium grid, and Crisium grid is renowned as probably the biggest Apocalypse defense. You can also do with a scored transport monopoly.
Nice.
Nice, very nice. All right. So,
Next up, we have Roughneck Repair Squad. And Roughneck Repair Squad has rather niche applications, but it fills a void in the card pool. And what it says is it's 0 to res, 3 to trash, but you must spend 3 clicks to gain 6 credits. And if you do, you may remove 1 bad publicity. Now, 3 clicks for 6 credits is not bad value. Obviously, 3 clicks just clicking for credits would normally net you 3. So if you're prepared to commit all 3 here, you can get 2 credits for each click. But its primary use is that removing 1 bad publicity. So if you're going to use cards that generate you bad publicity, then this is a natural complement to have in the deck, so that you may then remove that bad publicity afterwards.
Have we only seen bad publicity generated from NBN cards so far? Is that where I remember them from, or was it another? Because I think we've only seen 1 card with bad publicity on it so far, right?
We haven't seen it very often yet. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm sure someone's going to tell us in the chat soon what cards generate bad publicity. But scoring a hostile takeover, that's one, which is very much in the Weyland agenda suite. But in the wider pool, there are lots of cards that do that.
Cool.
Well, let's not spend too much time on that, because this is a more interesting card to look at. This is Wall to Wall. And this is an asset, 1 to res, 3 to trash, and it has some advisory text to start with. When your turn begins, if you have any other resed assets, then Wall to Wall only does 1 thing. However, if this is your only resed asset, you can do 3 of these things. These things are draw a card, gain a credit, place an advancement token on a piece of ice, or pick up this asset and add it to HQ.
it is. I've played against people using this asset, and it just was so strong.
So if you play it right and you get your timing windows correct, you'll never lose money from it, because it's 1 to res, and you'll choose as one of your abilities to gain 1. And then therefore it's paid for itself in the first instance. At that stage, if you draw a card and add this card to your HQ, you would be exactly level. You'd have clicked to install it. You'd have spent a credit, got it back, used it to draw the card that you would have clicked. You would have had to use the install click to draw instead, and you're back to where you started.
Yeah.
But if you don't pick it up straight away, which obviously I wouldn't advise, you're then getting 3 very useful effects at the start of every turn. So your mandatory draw is effectively 2 cards. You're getting a credit for free at the start of your turn, and and if you have advanceable ice, things like what's the lighthouse called again?
Pharos.
Aros, yeah, you can advance it. Ice Wall, you can advance it. Hortum, you can advance it. So you are making all those ice stronger or better whilst this card is there. Then, if you've got this in your remote server, it's ticking away, it's giving you lots of benefits, and then when you want to use that server, well, normally for scrolling an agenda, but in use cases for installing a clearinghouse,
Yeah.
then you can use the ability to add this card back to your HQ, and it frees up the server without having to trash anything.
Ha! Sure.
Love it.
And then after you've scored your agenda, or your clearinghouse has been
Hush,
tracked,
Dave,
then you
hush.
can then put your wall-to-wall back in the server.
You put the wall back in. Yep.
And
Yeah.
away you go again. Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, Mark. Why is there objection to wall in the chat? What are the pitfalls of wall?
It has been featured in some very unpopular decks. At
Is
the
that
moment,
because of the card or the deck?
It's very strong.
it's what it enables. So, there are various effects in the game that trigger off or benefit from ice being advanced. One of them is a card called Builder of Nations, which says if a piece of ice is advanced, do a meat damage when you pass it.
What?
One of them was a card that's been banned now called Mass Commercialization, which says gain 2 credits for every piece of ice that's got an advancement on it.
Oh, it doesn't say advance a piece of ice, does it? It just says stick a flipping advancement token on a piece of ice. So there's no restriction there. You can place that on things that can't be advanced normally, right? Grim.
Which means that mass commercialization then can just generate you like 20 credits for nothing.
Yep.
But also, most recently, there was a deck that required a card called Red Planet Couriers, which says for 3 clicks, move all your tokens, advancement tokens, off the ice onto a single card.
Yeah.
Which meant that you could score a government takeover, which is a 9-6 agenda in a single turn.
That was where I'd seen that.
If you did some shenanigans in NBN,
Yep.
you could score a Project Beal with 13 counters on it in a single turn, and it just lends itself to shenanigans of that nature, which is not, in most people's opinion, fun Netrunner.
Sure. Because people don't like durdling. Which, I mean, is apparent by the strength of speed in the meta, right? Clearly the designers also don't like durdling around, which is kind of a shame. But yeah, it seems to be quite a prevailing feeling.
We've been in a corp-dominated meta in Standard, and up until the most recent ban list, the reason for that, or a big reason for that, is that we had one of these wall-to-wall built-to-last decks that took about 60 minutes to win every game, and we also had the sports metal stroke precision design decks that won in about 5 minutes. And you as a runner were saying, now how do I stop both of these winning?
Yep. What am I building against here? Flipping a coin when I encounter a player. Sure. Cool.
Okay, let's move on to the ice section then.
Next.
So the first piece of ice is Sandstone. This is another quite unique effect. It says it's 3 to res and it starts off at 6 strength. But when the runner encounters this piece of ice, place a virus counter on it, and for each virus counter on this piece of ice, it gets weaker. So it's similar to a chisel or a leech effect, except rather than living on the runner's programs, it lives on the ice itself.
Sure. But you can
But
purge that, can't you?
indeed, that is an effect that maybe the Corp wants to purge because they want to bring the strength of the sandstone back up, as well as getting rid of all the tokens off the runner's side of the board as well.
Sure.
Other than that, it just has an end the run subroutine. It's a very simple barrier.
Good one.
Next up.
Is
Next up is
Trebuchet.
Trebuchet, and then this is the card we were talking about that gives you a bad publicity when you res, such as its nastiness.
Oh, I see. So is that indicated by its illicit nature there?
Some things that are illicit or black ops or something like that tend to have bad publicity as staple to them.
Sure. And this one is so egregious because it can launch a 90-kilogram projectile over 300 meters, I assume?
After that, it costs 7 credits to res, which is a lot. But once you've resed it, it is a 6 strength sentry. And 6 strength sentries are not fun to break. And it has 2 strong subroutines. So first off, trash any installed runner card. And secondly, fire a trace at strength 6, and if it is successful, the runner cannot steal or trash Corp cards for the remainder of the run, which is the effect that we get from Ansel as well. Except Ansel is only strength 4. This is strength 6.
Yeah.
And you can't click through this either.
Yeah.
So once this is resed, it becomes a real old roadblock. Now, as we've said, the offset to that, to try and make it more palatable for the runner to get through it, is they are given a bad publicity for its res. But 1 credit per run is not going to help you that much against having to break those subroutines or deal with a 6 strength trace.
Sure.
And then you remove that bad publicity through a roughneck repair squad, it's even ruder because they've got nothing to offset it at all then. So this card has featured in a number of prominent decks since it came out because it's so expensive to deal with. Yeah. And if giving away that bad publicity or paying those 7 credits is not too much of a setback for you, it's a huge setback for the runner to have to keep dealing with it.
Indeed.
It is, yeah.
Cool. Powerful.
Nasty. Love it.
Now we're on to Afshar. This is a smaller piece of ice. 3 to res, only 1 strength, but it has a very special ability, and it says, while this ice is protecting HQ, the runner cannot break more than 1 of its subroutines.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to get past it, you have to choose to break end the run, and you have to choose the runner loses 2 fire.
Now, Mark, is that the same if you've got a Botulus sitting on it?
However you break it, it's the same deal.
You cannot break more than 1.
Only when it's installed on HQ, of course. Now, if your toes are longer and you can sling it elsewhere, then suddenly it becomes a much worse card.
Yep.
But if it's installed on HQ, it is a big nuisance.
Yeah.
Because
that's pricey.
Yeah, it's going to cost you 3 credits to run through it. Possibly more if you're using a less efficient code gate breaker. For example, there's one called Black Orchestra, which costs 3 credits to break 1 subroutine, and then you have to lose the 2 again. You're then being told you have to pay 5 credits every time you want to run past it. which is not very sustainable.
Seems unreasonable.
It's interestingly worded though as well, because one of the staples in the standard card pool is a card called the Turning Wheel, and the Turning Wheel collects counters based on when you make a run, whether it is successful or not. So what that actually allows you to do with this card, if they're relying on it to protect their HQ, is you can make a run and spend 1 credit to avoid losing 2, and not break end the run and just bounce off it, and still amass your turning wheel counters.
Ah.
So it does have a little bit of weakness there, but overall it's still a strong card.
Sure. Interesting.
Now we have Aket. This is part of Weyland's 7 Wonders Breaker Suite.
So painful, this one.
Yeah. So, Aket is advanceable. And while there are 3 or more hosted advancement tokens on it, this ice gains 3 strength and gains the Afshar ability of you can only break 1 of the subroutines.
Okay.
So it transforms from being a 2 strength barrier into being a 5 strength barrier, which is obviously much more difficult to deal with in its own right. But then it says you can only break 1 of the subroutines, which means if you want to go past it, the core gains a credit, pop-up window style, and may place an advancement token on any other installed card, be that an agenda it's defending, or a trap you're about to run into, or another piece of ice that you're looking to make stronger.
Seems pretty strong.
Obviously, it takes that investment to get those 3 advancement counters there and get it firing at full strength. But let's just say, for example, you've got a wall-to-wall that's adding out advancement counters indiscriminately. It doesn't take it long for this to pump this up to 3. And then if someone tries to run it to get to that wall-to-wall or to get to an agenda that's been swapped into there, it then fires off the place 1 advancement counter elsewhere and maybe starts building up your second Aket, or starts building up an ice wall, or starts building up
finishing off an agenda.
Yeah.
Sure. Or a clearinghouse.
Well, not so obviously with so much clearinghouse, but it does combo very annoyingly well with traps like Urtica Cipher or Cerebral Overwriter, where you've baited the runner into making that run. They're going to take some damage, and by nature of them breaking this piece of ice, it's going to do them more damage.
It's almost like a devil's choice as well, because as soon as you see the corp put the advancement counter on the card you're about to access, there goes a whole host of flipping questions like, am I running now into an even worse trap? Have I made things really bad for myself, or are they desperately trying to get to a situation where if I can't grab it somehow, they can score it immediately on their go?
Well, and in the standard card pool, there's a fun ID called Jemison Astronautics, which is Weyland's space program or part of it. And that ID is basically built for shenanigans. And it says when you sacrifice an agenda, you may place 2 advancement counters. Is it 2 or 1 advancement counter
1
on a card for each agenda point you have just sacrificed? So someone's running towards a Urtica Cipher or a Cerebral Overwriter or something like that, and then you at the last minute say, do you want to access? They are locked in, they can't do anything about it, and then they res a card called Oberth Protocol that requires an agenda to be sacrificed. You sacrifice an agenda, you place an extra 2, 4, maybe even 6 counters on that trap that they're now committed to, and then you say GG. Because there's nothing they can do about it.
Oh, God. They've locked themselves into a poor decision, and they had
Yeah.
no idea.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that combination with a Ket works very well as well. And as Talasin has just pointed out in chat, there's an agenda called City Works Project that you have to suffer
Face up.
damage to access.
Ah,
And therefore, you think you're going to have enough cards in hand to suffer that damage and still steal it, and then they res a Naket. You then put another one on there that's going to mean that you can't steal it now.
sure.
Oh, it's a wondrous thing of a web of flipping the table over. Yeah.
I love it. That seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Right, Winchester.
We're still going on ice because
Yep.
Weyland sure isn't short of ice in this pack.
Let's head down here. And
Next up, we have Winchester. And Winchester is a 4 to res, 4 strength sentry. And similar to. No, not similar to anything. Similar to Afshar in the sense that it's stronger than it's on HQ, but the reason that it's stronger is very different. If this is on HQ, it grows a whole new subroutine.
Lovely.
So in standard, it has 2 subroutines that are fairly strong. Trace 4 if successful, trash a program. Trace 3 if successful, trash a hardware. But if it's on HQ, it also has Trace 3 end the run. Now, obviously, the fact that it can end the run is an important difference compared to its other 2 subroutines, because you can't just go Hail Mary and run through and end the run, whereas you can on the first 2. However, the drawback to all of these is that even if those subroutines fire, they are traces. They don't definitely have an effect. So the runner might be able to pay their way out of the trace to block it from landing, especially if they are an ID with link, or they have other cards that give them link. Therefore, traces are not so scary to them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you could even come across Sonny LeBeau decks in the standard card pool, not startup, where this card would do nothing because they'd just say, fire them all, I'm on 5 link, thanks for coming.
Sure. I'm an absolute cipher. See you later.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a cash check between the 2 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But unless you are in super duper money, you don't bother bumping up traces against Sonny.
No. Fair enough. Cool.
Right.
And finally,
What's
in the
this?
ice section, it's Colossus. Another one of the Wonders Ice. So, as with the other Wonders, you can advance it. And if it gets 3 advancement counters on it, things happen. First of all, for each advancement on it, it gets 1 stronger. So a triple advanced Colossus is a strength 7 rather than a strength 4.
Yep.
But in addition to that, its normal subroutines are give the runner 1 tag and trash 1 program, which are pretty nasty. Its advanced subroutines are give the runner 2 tags and trash 1 program and 1 resource.
What?
So yeah.
Oh, the
Running into
artwork's
one
tight
of
as well.
those with 3 counters on it, hoping that it's an ice wall, and finding out that it's a Colossus can have some serious ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yeah. That's yeah. That might be enough to make someone scoop.
Yeah, and as Jess says, this was
huge.
not designed by Nisei. This was an FFG card that got rotated out and then brought back through popular demand, and by popular demand I mean Jesse's demand.
What, she begged for it and then and it happened.
A one-woman campaign to get Colossus back into the game.
I am glad. I'm looking forward to this card.
Great success. I really like these wonders cards. I love the add three advancements and they get tonk thing. It's cool. It's very cool. Yeah. And then
we can move into the ID at last. And then the ID in Weyland is, if you like, the Corp equivalent of the Shinko. It is a flipper.
yeah.
So to start with, it starts on it. Well, let's go through the basics. Earth Station SEA headquarters. It's 45 card limit, so the old standard before we reduced to 40, and 15 influence to spend. But now I'm going into the juicy bit of the text. Limit one remote server. And that is a hard and fast rule.
Well,
if you are playing Earth Station, you cannot create a second remote server.
okay.
You may only have one remote. And that applies to either side of the card.
Yep.
When you are on the SEA headquarters side, it says, as an additional cost to run HQ, the runner must pay a credit.
Sure.
Which is an annoyance.
Yep.
And in one game, for me, actually, stopped me making a Hail Mary run on HQ, which was very annoying.
Oh.
But its main use is the opposite side. So when you get to, and I forget what the other side is called, reaching to space or something, it then says that one remote server that you have costs the runner an additional 6 credits to make a run on it. And you cannot manually flip it back. The only way it can be flipped back to its original side is if the runner makes a successful run on HQ.
Which answers the questions that I was going to have about why there's so much Protect HQ stuff specifically in this set of Weyland cards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, if you remember Transport Monopoly, which says this run does not count as successful on HQ.
Got it.
And then, if you remember Crisium Grid, which you install on HQ.
Of course, yup.
I know you're saying to the potentially saying to the runner, you must make 2 or 3 successful runs on HQ against all this ice, which is stronger when it's defending HQ, or you must pay 6 credits to initiate a run on my remote.
My naked remote.
Oh, possibly. Or even just with a single piece of ice there.
Yep.
Because 6 credits is not something to be sniffed at. And note that it is about initiating the run. So you can't use an overclock and just say, I'll spend the 5 credits off the plus 1 from my card pool.
Yeah.
Because you can only use overclock once the run is initiated.
Yep.
So you must have 6 in your card pool just to start off that run.
Yeah, it's an additional cost to the overclock cards play,
It's
right?
expensive, absolutely.
And then just put Skunkworks at the bottom, so they can pay 5 when they get to the end as well.
No,
Or put Anarchists at the bottom, so it's all been for nothing.
Got it! Amazing. And then when it does flip, well, bollocks to it, you just flip it for a click next turn and it's back on again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So those grindy decks we were talking about earlier that have cropped up many times recently, I think their first home was in Earth Station. So that one of the first things that people did when this came out and said,
Turn
"Hang
it
on a
up.
minute,
Yeah.
I'll flip my ID, I'll put a wall to wall in the remote that'll advance all my ice for me and keep giving me credits and keep drawing me cards, and I'll just set up an absolutely impenetrable board state."
That is some expert tier turtling all in one set.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Grim.
And there's actually, wait, you've not seen the best of it yet.
Oh,
There is another card that complements this, which is so ridiculous, it's been banned in standard, but in startup, it's absolutely still legal.
Sure. Sure. Well, I've moved us to the next page then. I'm looking
Moving
forward to
swiftly on,
seeing
and
it.
welcome to Hamilton, who's joined us in chat. Always good to see a new someone else joining the fun.
Here we go.
And what a time to join.
Operations in Weyland.
Operations section. Now, we start off with Secure and Protect. Now, Secure and Protect is one of the lesser spotted doubles. A long time ago, there was a lot of doubles in the game. These days, there are very few. Celebrity Gift, if you remember, from the Jinteki card pool, is one. This is another. I'm struggling to think of many more.
I took Celebrity Gift out because I messed myself up by the fact that it was a double, and I'd forgotten the double nature of it as I played it. Yeah.
You've got to be careful about those doubles, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
what?
This is a double. It's only one credit, but it's 2 clicks.
Yeah,
And it
okay.
says, search R&D for a piece of ice and reveal it. You may install that ice protecting a central server, paying 3 less. Now, the question I'm sure you're asking is, why would you use this? And the answer I've got for you is, I've no idea. I've never seen anyone actually play this card.
Search for a piece.
If you've got very few pieces of ice in your deck and you want to tutor for a specific one, maybe. If you've got so much ice in your deck that installing it is going to cost you 3 or more credits because you're already 3 or 4 layers of ice deep, then maybe. But usually by that time, you'd have set up so much money that you'd be able to pay for it anyway. So, I'm not entirely sure what this card's for.
Paying 3 less. Sure.
It's legal, so, I'm going to talk about it.
I mean, maybe it's for using with the ID where you've got some of these hard protect your HQ pieces of ice, but you're just getting everything except that, and you're desperate to have one out there, or I don't know, maybe
it's a very niche thing.
Yeah.
There aren't any cards that allow you to do that. So maybe this is just like, well, if you want to, you can do, but
yeah, being able to reveal it as well might be cool if it was something that would scare off the person. Like, it might refocus their efforts elsewhere, just in case you were like, well, I can show it off and I don't really want to res it, but I've shown that I could. Maybe it's like a threat, but
interestingly though, you only reveal it after you've searched for it, and then you add it to your hand, so you don't know for sure that that's the ice actually being installed. You just know that the ice is in the deck.
Oh, what? You install that ice protecting a central server, paying 3 less straight away afterwards, don't you?
Yeah, you're wrong. You're right, of course. That's how much I know this card.
Yeah.
I don't even know it works.
Yeah, so the hijinks is low, but I don't know. Tutoring for 1 seems pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to be rushing to put it in your decks. I certainly won't be, but
I'm going to make this work, Mark. I'm going to make this card work.
Crack the meta open,
exactly
Dave.
What I was thinking too, Dave.
Blow it wide open.
I'll do it. People don't even know what they're looking at.
Right, 3 left.
Okay. 3
And
left.
I am excited by the last one.
August Crackdown
I
next.
don't want to
next
get
one-
ahead of myself.
Well, the next one is another lockdown, and I'm sure that
Cool.
when you're looking at the cards during the week, I'm going to get a number of messages asking me, "Now, what is a lockdown? Can you just explain it to me one more time?" So let's
And
go
they'll
through it
all
again.
be from Dave.
It's
A lockdown is a operation that once you play it, stays in play until the start of your next turn. So it creates a very awkward, uncomfortable turn for the runner. You can only play one of them, so you can't just go into lockdown spam and make it completely ludicrous turn, because one of them is generally bad enough. What Argus Crackdown the Lockdown, which is strange wording, but sure, says is whenever the runner makes a successful run on a server that is protected by ice, key criteria sometimes gets forgotten, do 2 meat damage. So if that basically, assuming you haven't got any naked servers when you play this, any run they make is going to result in them suffering 2 meat damage.
unless
Wait,
that
yeah.
run is not declared successful because you've said that's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah, if you run on a Crisium Grid server, I suppose, yeah, that's one way around it.
Yeah.
And it's actually fun you say that, because that has caught me out so many times, not in relation to Argus Crackdown, but in relation to either wanting, as a corp, wanting to fire an effect that says you can only play this after the runner has made a successful run, and then they haven't made a successful run because they've run on the server that you put a Crisium Grid on. And like, why did I put that Crisium Grid there? But no, this one causes 2 meat damage for each time they run. So that is going to limit them, literally by how many times they can run if they don't want to die. But also, if you are cooking up some sort of punitive Counter-Strike situation, so that if they do run, they're going to have fewer cards in their hand, therefore you're going to be able to punitive them more easily on their next turn, then yeah.
Seems mean to include in the same set as Hashiko.
Or does it?
For as strong as that sound, and the shenanigans that enables, Argus Crackdown has probably seen the least play of the lockdowns,
Sure.
because those decks that are trying to create punitive situations probably have other cards that will help them do that better than just giving them 2 meat damage.
Yeah.
But it's an option. It's something else that you can try and make work if you like.
Sure. Cool.
And of course, you can combine that with something like an Urtica Cipher or a Cerebral Overwriter. So if they manage to get in and access that trap that's going to do them damage, this might make it lethal.
Nice. All right.
Next up, we have Reduced Service, and this is the first of the upgrades. So this is a 0 to res, 2 to trash upgrade. But when you res this upgrade, you may pay up to 4 credits to place that many power counters on it. So 1 credit would put 1 power counter on it, 4 credits would put 4 power counters on it, etc. And then, as an additional cost to run this server, the runner must pay 2 credits for each hosted power counter.
Oh.
But whenever the runner makes a successful run on a central server, you may remove 1 hosted power counter.
Okay.
Painful.
On other servers to reduce
what
this
this
one.
basically means is if you're going to pay reduced service, you can't leave archives uniced because someone would then run archives to remove the power counters before then running on the reduced service remote. But even having said that, if they have to spend 2 clicks running on the archive to reduce the strength of this, then that means you only have to fend them off twice with an anoetic void rather than 4 times.
Sure.
And let's just assume you're going to be if you're going to be playing this, you're going to be playing it in Earth Station. So
It's on
originally
HQ.
you had to pay 6 credits to make a run on the remote, and now you have to pay 14 credits to make a run on the remote.
Or alternatively, you have to pay 6 credits to run the remote, or 6 credits to run HQ, so that you can run the remote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question after the last card.
Brutal. Okay.
Okay.
The final card then.
And here's the banned one.
Sure.
Is it for us? It's not right.
It's absolutely legal in startup for reasons that no one could comprehend. Well, in standard, it's absolutely banned. It's 3 credits to res and it's 3 to trash. It is a region. Only 1 region per server, remember. You can't put this in there with Tranquility Grid or San City Grid or anything else like that. But it says, when your turn begins, place an advancement token on a piece of ice protecting this server. Regardless of whether the ice can be advanced or not. Because it's placing an advancement token, it isn't advancing it.
Yep.
Whenever the runner approaches the server, so the server where Kyambi Grid is installed, they must pay 2 credits for every piece of ice with an advancement counter on it, or it ends the run. So you've just fought your way through 2 or 3 pieces of ice that have all got advancement counters on them, so they're all stronger than they used to be. And then this is saying, oh yeah, if you want to carry on though, it's going to be 6 credits. Before you get into any other shenanigans that might be there.
Yeah.
And this isn't unique. There is no diamond on it, so you could put this on the remote and on HQ and on R&D. And if the runner can't afford to get in early and trash this, then it's just going to keep spewing out more advancement counters, making it more and more difficult for you to run it in the future.
I'm starting to think that my choices for my deck this week might have been prescient, and that I should probably stick with the cash generation as just a method of playing the game as opposed to winning. Yeah.
Well, interesting. That was going to be my question. Which runner ID can adequately get enough cash, like generally speaking, with the cards they've gotten?
Generally speaking, the richest ID is criminals.
Mm-hmm. Damn it.
But yeah, as Jessica says there, if you watch some of the games from last year when Kyambi Grid was legal, it would cost you 50 credits to make a successful run.
Sheesh! That's a lot of credits.
You had to break maybe 4 or 5 pieces of ice, all of which were massively advanced to super strength limits, and then get to the bottom, have to pay 10 credits because you've gone past 5 pieces of advanced ice.
That's grim.
Oh, we're not even going to explain Formicery. That's just a joke in all of itself.
Maybe another evening.
Yeah.
When you've got super dark beer.
In startup, I have encountered it a few times, but not as much as I would expect for a card as strong as it is. Now, I'm not sure why that is, whether there's just not quite enough cards it can work with, or maybe it's just a touch too slow compared to a lot of the other things. But if you see it, you've basically got to run in and trash it immediately, otherwise you forget accessing that server again.
Yeah.
So it is super powerful.
You might have to pray that you can go sideways into it after accessing archives,
Good
running
point.
archives, and jump sideways using backdoor in order to try and get rid of it. Because
Backdoor,
HQ
sneak
for
door.
sure. Yeah.
HQ rather, yeah. Oh shit.
Right. There we go. Now, we haven't gone through the neutral Ashes cards, have we? Or have we?
We haven't,
We haven't.
but I was about to say, as we are relatively early tonight, do you want to crack off the corporate neutral cards?
Yes.
There
Yeah,
are only
that sounds
6 of
pretty
them,
good.
so I don't think
Yeah.
it will take too long.
We can have a speedy one because there may be an agenda in there that I want to include.
Sure.
Well, there's certainly an agenda in there that everyone else includes, so you may as well include it as well.
Okay.
The first one you have seen before. We saw this back in the wildcard pack.
That's right.
When I just randomly put some cards together to show you some of what is coming. So this is Vulnerability Audit, and Vulnerability Audit says you cannot score this agenda if you installed it this turn. But if you're going to leave it in your server for a turn, and then, I don't know, play Seamless Launch on it, it gets you 3 points for 4 advancements, rather than the usual 2.
Sure. Yeah, no fast advanced Reno, this agenda Rooney. Seems pretty standard.
If you can, this is a rare, not fairly rare, influence neutral card. So you can see in the bottom left there 1 dot, even though it's grey.
Oh.
So if you can spur the influence to fit this into your deck that is doing seamless launch shenanigans such as precision design, and you're prepared to give up the benefits of Project Vacheron, then this card is a lot easier to score because you score it the same way you do with the 4-2.
Yep. Sure. Or it might be a bit safer when you're going Durdle heavy, because you can protect it pretty hard. So if you're...
Yes, Hamilton, you're absolutely right to hate Project Vacheron. It is a stupid card that should never have existed. And on that note, stupid cards that I hate with all my life. It's Cybernex Embarks!
Wait, what? Wait, that's
Yeah.
a permanent... That's a permanent ability.
If you score it.
It's a 4-2 agenda.
Oh.
And when you score it, you purge virus counters.
Uh-huh.
And from now on, purging virus counters gets you 4 credits. So, every time the runner gets up to, rather than taking the tempo hit of having to purge, which you need to do to keep the runner's viruses in check, now you actually get rewarded with 4 credits for doing it instead.
1 1/3 credits per click. That's better than taking basic clicks for credits for your whole turn.
Yes, it is. And also, this card stacks.
Oh, shit.
So if you score the second one, every time you purge, now you get 8 credits.
Oh, good.
What?
Yeah.
How long until this is banned? Is this banned?
Not been banned so far.
Okay.
So when you put this into your deck now with alongside maybe another stupid card like Off-World Office, the whole point of the game being built around tempo and scoring windows and balancing the cost of scoring agendas with the resources spent in advancing them just flips all that on its head, because all your agendas actually make you money now.
Oh my gosh.
So the entire basis of Netrunner is kind of flipped on its head, because scoring agendas does not equal losing tempo anymore.
Yeah.
And this is the hill I'm probably going to die on in relation to Netrunner, because I just think that's wrong. It's one of the fundamentals that shouldn't be interfered with for me.
Is that so? Make a mental note, Sharon. Just build around this card and the other one for
It's going to be glorious.
Make a mental note. Yep.
I mean, if you want to build strong decks,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
you have to include it because it's legal and it's stupid good.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Why does the Cyberdeck sandbox appear on Secure and Protect for a piece of ice and protecting a central server? I don't understand the link through here yet.
that's a good question.
Sure.
Well, the reason that Cyberdeck Sandbox, the killer whale exists there, is because this card makes reference to various viruses, and there used to be a card with the rationale for sorry, there used to be a virus card with the illustration of a killer whale with legs on it called Darwin.
Cool.
So,
Gonna find it.
and the green shape was a very famous virus card called Medium, which you now know as Conduit.
Sure.
So,
And the killer whale one, would that be an Araucanid? Is that?
sure.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. Someone else, people who were involved in the playtesting and stuff will know better than me. I get the feeling that this was like, oh, we thought this was going to be quite niche and might set back virus-heavy decks a little bit, and what they accidentally created was an agenda that pays for itself and fundamentally changes how the game is played.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And then they doubled down on it with Off-World Office. So, great.
Sure.
And then the next one.
False Lead. False Lead is a fun card, even if it makes Netrunner a more difficult game to play. So False Lead is a 3-1, and as we know, 3-1s have to be good if they're going to see any play. This one does see some play. And it says, in any paid ability window where the runner has 2 or more clicks remaining, you may forfeit this agenda to make the runner lose 2 clicks.
Cool. If you scored 2 of these, you could get 2 turns on the bounce.
You could. And it is 100% used for shenanigans.
Yeah.
Where the runner is like, they're not going to, by them not having 4 clicks, they're not going to be able to do something that requires 4 clicks, like clearing 4 tags, which is an ability that people have in standard.
Gotcha.
Or they're not going to be able to run HQ 7 times to be able to get into your remote server in a station. Or
Sure.
like, all right, so I'll give up the 2 clicks. I'll give up this 1 point because, I'm going to take your clicks away, which means you can't get out of the situation that you're in.
Yeah. Perfect.
Love it. Oh, what's this?
Oh, now we have CSR campaign.
Canterbury
which is
Student Radio.
It's very pleasant. It's a very pleasant card, but doesn't see a lot of play, unfortunately. And it's just very simply says, it's an asset, 2 to res, 2 to trash, and it says, when your turn begins, draw a card. So it makes your mandatory draw 2 cards rather than 1.
Cool.
So if you want to fly through your deck fast,
dangerous,
then you can use this. And they're not unique. So you could have 4 cards for your mandatory draw in theory.
Oh, but it's you may. Oh.
Yep.
So you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yep.
You don't want to deck yourself there.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it's quite dangerous. But yeah, that's cool. Nice.
So yeah, it doesn't see a lot of play, but if for some reason you want a deck that does that, then there is a card that does it.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
2 cards
Final
left.
2. Yeah.
Next we have Rhyme. And this is an unusual piece of ice. You can tell that because it's subtype Mythic. And Mythic ice is always up to no good. During runs on this server, you can res this piece of ice anytime you could res non-ice cards. So in the common scenario at the minute where some new players are misunderstanding how and when you can res ice, well, good news! Rhyme has its own timing window, so that confuses things further.
Sure.
Anytime you could res an asset or an upgrade, like when the runner starts, right at the start of the a runner making a run, you can res Rhyme, and it costs you 0 to do that. And once you've resed it, each piece of ice in the same server as Rhyme gets 1 strength.
Including Rhyme itself.
Including Rhyme itself.
Cool.
And then when you encounter it, the runner loses a credit unless they have an AI breaker,
Sure.
or Botulus, or Boomerang, or something else like that, which allows you to break
Any type.
any type.
Oh, they've
because
egretted it or something. Right.
Or, yeah, so any sort of shenanigans like that. Normally, you wouldn't bother breaking that runner loses 1, but in a certain ID that I know Sharon has encountered recently from the yellow faction, you losing an ID, you losing a credit actually means the corp gains a credit. At that point, it becomes very annoying indeed.
Yep. Okay.
So as a result, you usually only see this ice in GameNet decks, but it has cropped up in 1 or 2 other places where people just want to make the ice on the servers a bit stronger.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It seems so. If you went rooting around for this with your hunting card, this wouldn't be a terrible card to put right bang up at the front as well on your 4 deep HQ, because you pay 1 to put it out the front, and it increases the strength of every other thing by 1, and forces them to lose a credit on an already expensive run. That seems pretty grim.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But it's like we sometimes call those win more cards.
Yeah.
Because you've probably already won by the time you've set all that up.
Yeah.
And this is just the cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually make a difference maker in that situation.
You're durdling hard at that point.
Yeah.
Cool. And then a colourless lockdown.
Yeah.
Colourless lockdown, a neutral one. Now, once upon a time, there was a neutral agenda called NAPD Contract, which was super duper strong. NAPD Contract said, as an additional cost to steal it, you had to pay 4 credits as well as actually get to it. That card was allowed to I'm not sure it was banned and then rotated out because it was probably too good. Although they just brought it back as Bologna. Let's not go into that. This is NAPD Contract as a lockdown, though. So same as before with the lockdown rules, you can only have 1 of them in play at once, and lasts until the start of your next turn. And it says, as an additional cost to steal an agenda, the runner must pay 4 credits plus 2 for each and any advancement counters on that agenda.
That's so expensive.
So if they're running into R&D or HQ, it's going to cost 4 credits to steal an agenda from there, which makes it real difficult for the last-minute Hail Marys. If they want to score a double advanced card in a remote, for example, they would have to pay 8 credits to steal it.
So tune in next week for Dave paying an inordinate amount of money to run face first into an Urtica cipher because he was convinced that the lockdown had foreshadowed it being a well advanced agenda instead. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh God. Shenanigans. Yeah.
So this seems like an incredibly strong faction or set of cards in Weyland here.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to ask: are there equally strong sets of cards in the runner IDs?
Didn't seem to be.
Yes.
Not necessarily the ones we've seen so far.
So when Ashes first came out, the first event I played after that, I played Earth Station and Ashiko, because those were the 2 most exciting IDs and sets of cards for me.
Yep.
At that time. There are lots of strong cards in other factions, particularly in Criminals, but I don't think Criminals get an ID in Ashes.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
forgetting somebody. So they had strong cards, but not a strong person to put them in. So
Interesting.
oh yes, they do. Jess
They
is
do.
correcting me already. That's what I like to see.
Righty tighty.
Oh, it has. It has. How could I forget? Sorry, Jess. It has.
I've got to head off now. So it's a good thing we got to the last card.
Well, that
Yeah.
timing was excellent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool.
Well, very quickly then, I will say your homework for next week is to build a Weyland deck,
Looking
hopefully
forward to it.
including some of those new shenanigans that we've looked at today, and bring along any runner that you feel like, possibly those Anarchs with refinements that we've discussed today, or any other deck that you feel like.
Shaper bullshit or
And I'll
nothing.
go off to apologise to Jess for forgetting about ours being a legal card.
Cool.
Shocking.
Lovely time.
All right.
Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
See ya.
Bye.